Hello, today we'll be going through practice questions 41 to 50 for the CompTIA Cloud Plus exam. Let's begin. A systems administrator is provisioning VMs according to the following requirements. A VM instance needs to be present in at least 2 data centers. During replication, the application hosted on the VM tolerates a maximum latency of 1 second. When a VM is unavailable, failover must be immediate. Which of the following replication methods will best meet these requirements? The correct answer is C. Live. Live replication best meets these requirements because it continuously mirrors the VM in real time across multiple data centers. This ensures immediate failover when one VM becomes unavailable and keeps replication latency under 1 second, which aligns with the application's tolerance. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Snapshot. Snapshots are periodic and not continuous. They can cause data loss between snapshots and don't support immediate failover. B. Transactional. Transactional replication focuses on databases, not full VM replication. It wouldn't guarantee full VM state or sub-second latency. D. Point-in-time. Point-in-time replication restores data to a previous state, useful for recovery but not for immediate failover with near-zero latency. Therefore, the correct answer is C. Which of the following is the most cost-effective and efficient strategy when migrating containers to the cloud? The correct answer is B. Replatform. Replatforming is the most cost-effective and efficient strategy for migrating containers to the cloud. Containers are already portable, so minimal changes are needed to move them from on-premises to cloud infrastructure or managed container services. This avoids the high cost and complexity of a full refactor while still gaining cloud-native benefits like scalability and management efficiency. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Retire. This means decommissioning the application. It doesn't apply if the goal is to keep running the containers in the cloud. C. Retain. Retaining means leaving the workload as is, usually on-premises. That doesn't accomplish a cloud migration. D. Refactor. Refactoring involves rewriting or heavily modifying the application to be fully cloud-native. While powerful, it's much more costly and time-consuming than replatforming, and not necessary for containers that are already cloud-ready. Therefore, the correct answer is B. An organization's web application experiences periodic bursts of traffic when a new video is launched. Users are reporting poor performance in the middle of the month. Which of the following scaling approaches should the organization use to scale based on forecasted traffic? The correct answer is A. Scheduled. Scheduled scaling is the best choice when traffic bursts are predictable, such as in the middle of the month when new videos are launched. By configuring scaling policies ahead of time based on forecasted demand, the organization can ensure resources are provisioned before the traffic spike, preventing performance issues. Why the other options are incorrect? B. Manual. Manual scaling requires administrators to add or remove resources themselves. This is reactive, inefficient, and doesn't handle predictable traffic surges automatically. C. Event. Event-based scaling responds to real-time triggers like CPU or memory thresholds. While useful for unpredictable bursts, it may scale too slowly to prevent performance issues if demand spikes suddenly. D. Load. Load-based scaling adjusts resources in response to current system load, similar to event scaling. It's reactive, not proactive, and may still allow performance degradation before scaling kicks in. Therefore, the correct answer is A. A cloud infrastructure administrator updated the IP tables to block incoming connections and outgoing responses to 104.225.110.203. Which of the following vulnerability management steps is this an example of? The correct answer is B. Remediation. Blocking malicious traffic by updating IP tables is an example of remediation. In vulnerability management, remediation is the step where corrective actions are taken to eliminate or mitigate identified risks or threats. By blocking the IP, the administrator is directly addressing and neutralizing the threat. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Scanning scope. This defines what assets or networks are included in a vulnerability scan. It doesn't involve applying fixes. C. Identification. This is the process of discovering vulnerabilities or threats, not taking action against them. D. Assessment. Assessment evaluates the severity and risk of identified vulnerabilities but does not involve applying security controls. Therefore, the correct answer is B. An administrator needs to adhere to the following requirements when moving a customer's data to the cloud. The new service must be geographically dispersed. The customer should have local access to data. Legacy applications should be accessible. Which of the following cloud deployment models is most suitable? The correct answer is C. Hybrid. A hybrid cloud deployment model is most suitable here. It combines on-premises or private cloud resources with public cloud resources. This setup allows the customer to benefit from both environments while meeting all the requirements. Why the other options are incorrect? A. On-premises. This only provides local access and legacy application support, but not geographic dispersion. B. Private. Private cloud can be local and secure, but lacks the broad geographic dispersion of public resources. D. Public. Public cloud offers geographic dispersion but may not provide the local access and legacy application compatibility required. Therefore, the correct answer is C. A company's VMs that are created using the non-critical application tag are automatically shut down at 5 p.m. using a cron job. Which of the following actions would allow a cloud engineer to stop all unresponsive instances with the least effort in case the automation fails? The correct answer is C. Using the cloud provider command line to stop the instances based on tags. The most efficient approach is to use the cloud provider's CLI with filters for the non-critical application tag. This allows the engineer to quickly stop all relevant instances in one command with minimal manual effort, making it more scalable and less error-prone than manually checking or writing custom scripts. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Using the cloud audit logs for tagging and stopping events. Audit logs are for monitoring and compliance, not an active way to stop instances. B. Using the cloud provider web console to check and stop the instances. This is manual, slow, and doesn't scale if there are many instances. D. Using a bash script to shut down all instances. This requires extra development and maintenance effort compared to leveraging the provider's built-in CLI filters, which already support tag-based instance management. Therefore, the correct answer is C. A company uses containers stored in Docker Hub to deploy workloads for its IaaS infrastructure. The development team releases changes to the container several times per hour. Which of the following should a cloud engineer do to prevent the proprietary code from being exposed to third parties? The correct answer is D. Use private repositories for the containers. Storing the company's containers in private repositories ensures only authorized users can pull the images. This prevents third parties from accessing or downloading proprietary code while still allowing the development team to release frequent updates securely. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Use IAC to deploy the IaaS infrastructure. Infrastructure as code automates infrastructure provisioning, but it does not protect container images from exposure. B. Convert the containers to VMs. This increases complexity and resource usage while not addressing the issue of code exposure. C. Deploy the containers over SSH. SSH can secure deployment connections but does not protect the container images stored in Docker Hub from being accessed publicly. Therefore, the correct answer is D. A social networking company operates globally. Some users from Brazil and Argentina are reporting the following error. Website address was not found. Which of the following is the most likely cause of this issue? The correct answer is B. Regional DNS provider outage. Since only users in specific regions are affected, the most likely cause is a regional DNS provider outage. This would prevent users in those areas from resolving the website's domain name, while users in other regions would still have normal access. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Client DNS misconfiguration. If it were client misconfiguration, it would affect only individual users, not multiple users across entire regions. C. DNS server misconfiguration. A global DNS misconfiguration would affect users worldwide, not just in Brazil or Argentina. D. DNS set key mismatch. A DNSSEC issue would typically impact all users trying to validate DNS responses, not be limited to specific regions. Therefore, the correct answer is B. A junior cloud administrator was recently promoted to cloud administrator and has been added to the cloud administrator group. The cloud administrator group is the only one that can access the engineering VM. The new administrator unsuccessfully attempts to access the engineering VM. However, the other administrators can access it without issue. Which of the following is the best way to identify the root cause? The correct answer is B. Reviewing the administrator's permissions to access the engineering VM. The best first step is to verify whether the newly promoted administrator actually inherited the correct permissions from the cloud administrator group. Misconfigured group membership, propagation delays, or missing role assignments are common causes when one user cannot access a resource but others in the same group can. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Rebooting the engineering VM. A reboot will not resolve a permissions issue. C. Allowing connections from 0.0.0/0 to the engineering VM. This would expose the VM to all internet traffic, creating a serious security risk without addressing the specific user's access issue. D. Performing a packet capture on the engineering VM. Packet capture helps with network level troubleshooting but not with access control or permissions problems. Therefore, the correct answer is B. Which of the following describes the main difference between public and private container repositories? The correct answer is A. Private container repository access requires authorization, while public repository access does not require authorization. The main difference is access control. Public repositories can be pulled by anyone without authentication, while private repositories restrict access and require credentials, ensuring only authorized users can access container images. Why the other options are incorrect? B. Private container repositories are hidden by default and containers must be directly referenced, while public container repositories allow browsing of container images. Browsing versus direct reference is not the defining difference. The real distinction is access control. C. Private container repositories must use proprietary licenses, while public container repositories must have open source licenses. Repository type does not dictate licensing. Both public and private repositories can host open source or proprietary images. D. Private container repositories are used to obfuscate the content of the Docker file, while public container repositories allow for Docker file inspection. A repository stores images, not Docker files by default. Docker files are not automatically exposed in either public or private repositories. Therefore, the correct answer is A. We have come to the end of today's video. If you liked the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Goodbye.